This is a special message for Paulie and everyone else out here. So my friend Paulie has asked a question. He said, what's going to happen in the next cycle in, say, 2028, 2029 with third cycle curses? So Paulie has asked about things like Hex and PulseChain, because Hex will be in a third cycle, next cycle. And I've got to remind you, Binance BNB will be in its third cycle, next cycle. Many things will be in their third cycle. The entire DeFi sector will also be in its third cycle, next cycle. And remember, friends, a quick touch up on history, there is a third cycle curse that happens. If you go to any coin sector, when they enter their first cycle, they're a first cycle unicorn. Happened to Bitcoin, happened to Ethereum. The first cycle is the unicorn, never seen anything like it. Basically, it looks like it's free money. The second cycle, it's good for like one last pump, okay? So if you draw the roller coaster theme, this is what they look like. You have cycle 1, and then cycle 2 is like this. Now, here's the thing. In cycle 2, now what I'm actually talking about, this is not just your friend Simon's thesis. This is confirmed, friends. There's an economist decades ago, I think in the 1970s, they actually studied booms and busts of assets and countries and cycles. And this is a phenomenon that actually happens. So the first cycle takes everybody by surprise. The second cycle, it doesn't live up to the hype. It's okay, but it doesn't quite live up to the hype. However, it's still good enough for a thrust. And why is it diminishing? Well, obviously the market players get used to how to value whatever it is they're participating in. Okay, so you and I are still going to moggle the non-believers, but we're just aware of what happens. Basically, the players get smarter, yeah, which is totally true. I mean, like, think about this. Now, the concept of meme coins exists now. We did not have a meme coin sector in 2021. We didn't have them. It was just Doge. There was no sector. There was no group. Now we're like, oh, they're meme coins. Oh, they're JPEG coins. Oh, yeah. We had no concept of mindshare. We had none of that. We barely only had a word of network. Barely. Bitcoin as a network. That's all we had. And Metcalfe's law were like these early themes, but no one really knew what the hell it all meant, right? Because we did not know how to value these things. Now we know, learning, okay, you and I catching each other like a Pokeball, friendship each say, we're learning that you don't value crypto like a stock company, where a stock, you know, so you can hate the logo, you can hate the company, you can hate, it can be boring. Yeah, but if the stock produces a product, let's say they make orange juice and they're selling it out there, there's cash flow, it trades at a certain price to earnings ratio. You get it, right? Crypto, though, is valued as a network. It's more like a city. So if you walk into a city, here's the thing, right? If you walk into a city, do you go to the government, the mayor, and say, oh, what's your tax receipts from these businesses? And do you base your valuation of the city from those tax receipts? That would be a very inefficient, incorrect way to do it. I mean, like, look at Dubai. Dubai has like 0% tax rates in a lot of these areas, or 5%. Imagine you go to Dubai, you look at imagine you go like, look at Dubai city, because imagine you're trying to value Dubai like a stock. You go and see this city and you're like, oh, you're actually worth nothing because your tax receipts are nothing. You see how that would be like very incomplete? Yeah, well, in crypto, we're looking at these big cities, right? We're looking at stuff. PulseChain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Layer 2s, Solana, Pui. You're looking at all these digital cities, right? If you were to walk away and say, oh, but there's no product here really, so it's worth zero. Well, it would have been a nice opinion to have like 8 years ago. You've just been monstrously wrong. Yeah, because value keeps accruing in there, okay? So over time, right, we're learning these concepts. That's why cycle 1, they appear. You've never seen anything like this before. You're like, oh my gosh, future of finance, yeah? Cycle 2, you have seen these things before, but like you're learning, there's limits. There's things of like X's and multipliers and market caps. We're used to that, right? These words get introduced like that. People are learning, you know? Like, so everyone just says, oh, not everyone. A few people say, oh, Bitcoin's going to infinite now. But you know it's not, right? Because you now know, wait a minute, like the higher it goes, there's a market cap. And as it hits a certain ratio, you know what I mean? Like there's things that you're basically the limiting factors that happen, right? Also, you've noticed as the asset gets older, the models appear. Stock to flow, right? Power law and stuff like that. What about the third cycle curse? So the third cycle is always, let's actually put a freaking skull emoji here, friends. Let's actually get the skull emoji out here. So yeah, the third cycle, friends, it's a curse, all right? Because what ends up happening is participants who watched cycle 1, first cycle unicorn, and cycle 2 still do good. They're now finally, they're like, man, I missed out on cycle 1, cycle 2. I got to get in now. And what ends up happening is everybody's in now, and the new demand left to unlock is too small to pay everybody properly. So everybody gets cucked. Okay. So, you know, I'll give you examples, you know, already of third cycles. I mean, like, perfect example, friends. Bitcoin in 2021 was in its third cycle. It did a garbage double top cycle. Yeah. Rubbish. Didn't hit 100K. And we had infinite money printing, by the way, and 0% rates. Yeah. China comes out, bans us. So President Pu literally kills the whole bull market in one announcement, while the Chinese scum miners, the insiders, were dumping the shit out of Bitcoin at the top, and they obviously front run. The Chinese government did the ban, right? See that? So Bitcoin got third cycle curse cucked, right? There's more to it too. Okay, remember, you know, friends, XRP. We all know what happened to XRP in the last cycle. XRP in its last cycle, this was cycle number 3. It literally, Christmas Eve, attacked by the SEC. Third cycle curse. Okay. So you can just see the power of what happens. By the way, so this is just something interesting, right? In this first cycle, XRP looks like it does a 15x. Yeah, it looks like it. And then up here does 650. So some people might say, they go, oh my gosh, cycle number 2 dwarfed cycle number 1. It's true for you as a retailer. Cycle number 1 for XRP printed infinite return free money for Cripple and the ICO investors. Because they didn't know this thing could go to billions. They did like a couple of $1 million ICO, right? So if you could get into their private people doing it, yeah, you crushed it, right? But still, you know, these things aren't perfect. You know, they're basically, it's frameworks of how to look at stuff. It's not like, you know, like the gospel everywhere, but you see the point, right? And then obviously, it's no wonder what happened to XRP in the third cycle got absolutely cuckaroonied. Literally cuckaroonied, right? Now, a bit of like friendship follows after that because the fourth cycle is pretty good, yeah? Because the third cycle, basically, you rinse so many non-believers out because it's such a letdown, they walk away. And then the fourth cycle is good. So check this out. Bitcoin in its fourth cycle, did it do good or bad? It's doing great. It went up early. Bitcoin dominance thrashed up. Okay, so fourth cycle is good for Bitcoin. What about the fourth cycle for XRP? Did really early as well. Look at it. I mean, it just shot up early, didn't it, friends? It literally shot up 600% early. It like beats the altcoins, a lot of the altcoins, right? So it's very fascinating, yeah. Now, what about Ethereum? Yeah, Ethereum's in its third cycle curse now. We all know what's happened to that. ETH BTC, cucked. Ethereum, soy. Ethereum layer 2, cucked, right? All of these unfortunate events. So it makes us think, right? Cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, you know, cycle 1, cycle 2, and cycle 3. And interesting, right? Because cycle 3 is so bad, or label them now, cycle 4 ends up like being like, all right. It's like, oh, wow, you're actually doing pretty good, right? Actually pretty good. That's kind of like what they look kind of like conceptually. In crypto, though, there is one coin that beat its cycle 3 curse, Doge, in 2021. I mean, talk about a unicorn on a unicorn, right? Useless Dogecoin adopted by Elon Musk. He picked Doge, right? You know, but if you look at the odds for everything else, third cycle curses are real. Okay, so remember, it's a game of probabilities and odds, you know? Now, all of this, it makes you think about in 2028 and 2029, what's going to happen to those DeFi coins? Because the whole DeFi sector will be third cycle. Like right now, friends, you want to know why you and me and all of us got wrecked in every ICO we touched? Bad. ICOs are in their third cycle curse. I mean, I even said this would happen in 2023, but I didn't think it would be this bad. You still got to punt anyway, you know? Remember, ICOs were in first cycle in 2017. If you come here, friends, and then, man, did they go wild or what? I've actually got it right here. This is the others USD. I mean, bro, friends, ICO in their first cycle literally did this is a 300x. Everything literally did minimum 100x. Everything did 100. So the actual real numbers are 370, but like everyone got 100. Every single person got 100. In the second cycle for ICOs, you only got about an 8x. Let's just round it up to 10. You see that disaster? By the way, that's still profitable. What are we getting in this cycle? Bro, we're like down 80%. It's garbage. So like maybe by the end of it, maybe we're going to get 3x or something. I don't know. I hope it's higher. But do you see how it went from 100? Then we went to 10. Now, bro, we're going to be lucky to get 3 or 4. Okay? Because ICOs, right? Because remember, every single person's like, oh, I know how to win. I got to buy just cheap coins. I got to just get anything cheap. Early entry price. That's how you get into stuff, right? So, in 2028 and 2029, you know, Hex, DeFi, you can stay up all night just trying to guess what on earth could curse them. But look, we have Donald Trump as president now. We have not seen the real face of the US government and their wrath against Bitcoin and crypto because we're still in the FOMO Euphoria party mode where everybody's grabbing Tether, Cuck stablecoin, and they're buying the bond, they're buying Bitcoin using the treasury yield. They're doing speculative attacks on the US dollar and the US government's inviting it because everything's going up. Eventually, though, it spins the other way. It basically turns down the other way, friends, and it will be reflexive on the way down. So, like, I almost imagine it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. Politicians punt too much on crypto. The public doesn't like it because we go too far this cycle, whatever it means, right? Whatever too far means, corruption, you know? And so the next president, they're going to wind back a bit of the crypto stuff. And you know, it's a government, dude. Friends, they can very, very easily. It's so easy to imagine a world which is a dystopian world. BlackRock, US government, same thing, where they make a whitelist approved database where if your token or your wallet or your stable coin is not on the list, you're like an enemy of the state, right? So, you know, you can still live in your DeFi world, but it's like not government approved. And so BlackRock with the conduit of the liquidity rails, they basically bypass all those other things. You know, friends, they already do that today. That's how BlackRock gets to control everybody because they have access. They're the S&P 500 DCA money. So they go to companies and they say, well, if you don't follow our rules, okay, we're going to give you a shitty ESG rating, and then you don't get any of the DCA money from our $1 trillion fund. So you got to listen to us, okay? So it basically, friends, it's kind of funny. Matt would always tell me this is true. Chinese friend, Matt, right? Remember, like America and China, friends, I know they think they're very, very different. They're kind of similar. With everything is controlled out there. It's just China's very open about how, oh yeah, we're the government. We're totally controlling you. You can't do anything. Don't even bother. Go live your life and do something else. With the US and the power structures, they're like, give you this illusion of freedom. No, I want to feel like I'm free, but not actually have enough free to do any anarchy damage. So that might be what happens in 2028, 2029. It doesn't mean everything like dies, but like just give you an idea of something. It could be that the third cycle curse coins, like, so I'm hoping what happens in our cycle. I know this is others USD, but I'm hoping like if we go up to these high numbers, I'm hoping PulseChain is 200 billion. I'm hoping Chainlink is 120 billion market cap, all these big numbers. We might find in the next administration, it's more of a retracement. Okay, so maybe that's all you can get. Maybe PulseChain hits 100 or 200 billion this cycle, call it 150. And then maybe in that next cycle, everyone's expecting the 500 billion, the 500 billion, the 750 billion, but it just gets XRP'd. We just, and for whatever reason. That's why I've just conceptualized what it could be. It could be like the government does like, you know, a swarm on, you know, blacklisting everything. And don't forget, friends, Uniswap is working with them, dude. The Uniswap V4, they have hooks. They're from regulated servers, you know that? They go through a central sequencer thing. And they allow for like regulation whitelist approval stuff. So it doesn't take a genius to figure it out, right? Once they allow all the tokenization of stocks and everything out here, and maybe Uniswap has a part of helping with the tech and everything, with the government, yeah, they have a hook. The hook is like just like a widget, yeah, and then the hook is government approved, because that's what they do, man. They go, if you're not on the list, you're a terror heist, you're an evil black pirate. If you're not on this list, right? So that I've told you, you know, third cycle curse. So pretty much everything you see now, make the absolute most of it. I know you already are, and yeah, everything I'm talking to you about, probably everybody will forget about this. You know, like, you know, we all forget. Like, do you remember what we were talking about a month ago? You know what I mean? Like, look how short everyone's attention span is. Israel, Palestine. Oh no, Russia, China. Oh no, Mr. Putin, who's doing a backflip over there. You know what I mean? Oh no, P. Diddy. How much lube was he really having? You know, so everyone's attention span goes out. But you should already know this, right? You got to believe in something. You already are. We've already been long term, but it's been 4+ years. You are in long term spot. It has been now long term. Yeah, just think about this stuff. Think about these concepts when we head on through into that mania phase. You know, hopefully it happens and it runs out through the rest of this year. Okay, so I wanted to share those with you, friends. I made this special video for Paul, but I also wanted to show out for all of you how, like, outside of our control, we can just get, like, I guess, a bit cucked with things like that, right? But it's not really dystopian when you think about it. It's like we go so euphoric this cycle that they have to pull back in the next one. And do you want to know what's also interesting? Remember in the first Bitcoin cycle, it was double-bubble Bitcoin. And then in the cycle after that, it became double-bubble altcoins, which is 2017, which I'll show you on the charts, right? They kept alternating, yeah? So you check it out here. This was the first cycle pretty much here. It was double-bubble Bitcoin, okay? Then it became double-bubble altcoins. You can actually see that on the ETH-BTC ratio. All the BTC ratios in 2017, yeah, they all did their own big double-bubble, okay? It was double-bubble alt season stuff. Double-bubble, no. Then in 2021, what happened? It was double-bubble Bitcoin, wasn't it? Again, do you see how it shifted? We're going for Bitcoin focus, then altcoin focus, then Bitcoin focus. And that was when we got the horrific double top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the only thing able to make a double top. 90% of coins couldn't even get a double top here. They were just like literally lower highs and it was just all over. Okay, and we're still actually down from those prices like 4 years later, which is disgusting, right? So that's why I think, guessing, this cycle's double-bubble alt season again. And it makes sense. Donald Trump, you know, oh, we accept Bitcoin and, like, you know, they're buying Ethereum and yield and, like, they're just basically like removing all the red tape everywhere. So you can see this world where we're like shifted back. Double-bubble alt season, you know, stablecoin super cycle, meme coin super cycle. That might be, it's a Yes, focusing on altcoins again. Which means like, oh, what would happen in 2028, 2029? Perhaps that goes back to double-bubble Bitcoin. You know? Because the altcoins are a bit ravaged. Something a bit special I want to share with you. Friends, I watched an interview. I've talked to you about this before, friends. Be the Trader. He interviewed a 91-year-old gentleman. Okay? I think his name is Joe here. 91 years old. It just very, very, very magical satellite imagery I was picking up in my peanut brain, which barely works. He had this idea. He believes because the Great Depression, the top was in 1929, we might have, about 100 years, the century since the Great Depression top, we might have the bottom for the stock market in 2029. In that 20, so that's 2028, 2029. So remember, stocks have been running like the longest in history. Now, I don't think they're going to die now, but it's something I just think about, friends. I think about stocks being very high and they stay high. And next year, we do some sort of AI push and there's some sort of like that final just artificial intelligence. Something goes exponential, gets everything wild. And stocks are like doing this sideways stuff. This is our Bitcoin halvening. Everything is great. Stocks ruling the party. Something like that. Okay. And when you look at that, like, oh, that's a bear market. Okay. So I'm thinking of something like this. Just because stocks have been running like 14 years now, like literally the longest in history. Like, we all know it's going to stop at one point. Yeah, but is it a bit different? Yeah, it is a bit different because we have AI. It doesn't mean it can't run forever. It will run forever, pardon me. It's just that AI is literally exponentially destroying jobs. Like the GDP boost to this stuff is like insane. Company value, right? Like, yeah, it's destroying human capital. But yeah, the company value is just ridiculous, man. Like, just replacing lawyer. You don't have to talk to a lawyer. I mean, just plug this stuff into AI, right? So, but we have to go euphoric first. That's what I want to do as I play some Cranky G music for you a bit. That's what I want to pretty much confirm here for you. So, looking into the future, it gives you a bit of anxiety. It does, but like, yeah, we need to get the euphoria part first. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, imagine talking about the hangover you're going to have tomorrow. But dude, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't even started drinking yet. Right? So, but there is a reason. You do talk about the hangover. So you think when it's like, 10 o'clock at night, okay, should I have another 7 beers? So you do have to think about it. That's why we do. It is important as a concept, because you just never know, man. How euphoric can it get? So there's my thoughts on, that next cycle, 2028, 2029 being the third cycle here. But yeah, it's nothing to be worried about, because it's, like think about the 2018 bear market, right? Yeah, that was horrific, wasn't it? Yeah, but bro, you guys got a literal freaking 100x on every single coin first. Yeah. Which is here. Like, yeah, your bear market of 2018 when I came, yeah, it was horrific and it was bad. Actually, it wasn't as bad as now, what we have now. But like, you guys got 100x first. You know what I mean? So, there's a bit of the universe and the energy bouncing back and forth. Well, we haven't even got the energy bounce up first. Okay, but at least we're aware of it. So, think about, Donald Trump. We know, friends, if we pump this cycle, no one can match Donald Trump. You know that already. Whoever the next president's going to be, they won't be fun. It'll be boring. They'll have to pull stuff back. It'll be so not entertaining. There'll be no more memes. They'll have to, just be like, oh, let's make government regulation stuff. And they'll be like they're not going to have an allegiance to crypto or anything as much. Like, it's going to be part of the package, but not as if like it's their identity. They might be like, oh yeah, let's just sell a bit of Bitcoin just to cover some taxes. Like, that might be on the table in 2028, 2029. It affects crypto where the government just says, let's sell a bit of the Bitcoin so we can give everybody a tax break in America. You know what I mean? Like, those are inconceivable right now. But that's what I'm talking about. That might be a bit of a handbring on that third cycle curse and stuff out here. So I like to think about stuff out here in the future so much, even though we don't have any real way to verify them unless we move forward in time. But like, you now know, like, this is why I'm turbo long. This is why. Yeah. This is how we plan for this stuff. Now you get to see why the true conviction lies in my heart. You really got to be a lion heart in this game, okay? This is where you can see stuff out here like this. Like, yeah. You go back, man, read all the journals of all the great stock market dudes in the past 100 years. Yeah. They don't just walk in one day and they go, oh my gosh, going to be a crash tomorrow and things are going to get bad for a while. No. They really have like this remote viewing, zen, subconscious, schizo stuff in their own little way. Okay. Obviously for us, we're here to change our life for the better. So let's cheer on the pump. May the pump be with you. Like, subscribe, belly button, all. Catch you soon.